Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name's Ron Tyler. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. I want to welcome everybody who's on this program with us today or who will be on this program with us today. We have a very important topic. Right now, I'm going to wait for people to get here into the chat so I know that we are actually talking to human beings. I think this is a very important program. I've been planning this program for quite some time. I have many topics that I've been prepared to speak about, many topics that I have planned on talking about. This is just one of many. I'm going to be writing a book, okay? I've been working on it for some time now. But today, I want to talk about EMPs. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to approach an EMP when it happens? What happens when your power goes out? Okay, I'm going to be talking about all these topics and probably a little bit more this evening. Now, guys, I believe it's very important. I want you to be prepared. That's why we do these programs. This is Emergency Management Associates. Our channel is all about all of us being prepared for whatever's going to happen. Now, this past week, Iran attacked Israel. Israel retaliated several times. Iran has always been threatening to detonate an EMP, a missile, a nuclear warhead. Even this past week, Friday, they were talking about detonating a nuclear warhead. The United States joined Israel Saturday night into Sunday morning and attacked Iran, took out their nuclear capability. But Iran is still talking about it. Okay? Iran can't go anywhere to do anything because we've taken out their nuclear capability. But I want to make sure you understand exactly what's going on. China, right after we attacked, landed a heavy-duty transport aircraft on Iranian soil. Great big, huge transport aircraft. What was on that aircraft, we don't know. There has been some speculation that that aircraft had nuclear warheads on board. Russia's also talked to Iran as well right after we got through with our attack. Now, what are they talking about? We don't know. But I'm telling you right now, before this happened, Russia stepped back away from Iran. Russia had always been saying that if we attacked Iran, they would attack the United States. They didn't do it. And in fact, they notified Iran not to even think about it. Okay? So right now, we live with what we've got right now, immediately today. However, could it happen with Iran? Yes. Could it happen with Russia? Yes. Could it happen with China? Most definitely. Last week, we talked about preparations for an EMP, whether it be a grid down EMP involving a nuclear warhead, whether it would be a grid down situation involving a solar flare. We don't know. We don't know when it's going to happen, and we don't know if, but it's not necessarily an if, like we said before, it's when. When is it going to happen? We don't know. But I am talking to you right now. We're going to prepare today. We talked a little bit about it last Friday. We've talked about it a little bit in the past. I'm going to follow up on our conversations about what we're going to do. I want, like I said, everybody to be prepared. I want to talk right now, this minute, about steps to prepare for an EMP. Steps to take prior to an EMP. Now, as I have stated before, I have dedicated my life to helping everyone that I can, giving everyone practical, safe guidance and advice that would actually make a difference in survival scenarios. Our country is headed for World War III. Some people thought it would happen with Iran. It did not. But eventually, we are headed for nuclear war. Okay? Russia's threatening us. China's threatening us. China continues to threaten us. Now, we are not prepared for nuclear war. We are not prepared for an EMP or a grid down situation. Now, this coming war will not be fought with tanks and infantry like the other world wars and the other wars that we've had here in the United States. It's not going to be happening that way. Yes, we could be fighting on the ground, but not necessarily with Russia and or China. We're already being threatened by people that want to protest on July 4th. It happened 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's been happening for a long time now. Now they're talking about a No Kings 2 protest. A No Kings 2 protest on Independence Day or July 4th here in the United States. Now, it's not just here in the U.S. It's not just here in the U.S. It's everywhere. There have been conflicts, there have been protests, there have been Antifa protests everywhere for years and years. The coming war will not be fought with tanks or infantry like the previous wars. This will be a long, drawn-out conflict with armies spread out on the battlefield. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be a long, drawn-out conflict with armies spread out all over a battlefield. And even though it will be nuclear, no one should expect a giant mushroom cloud. Again, I'm going to say that. No one should expect a large mushroom cloud. They can detonate a warhead above our soil, above any country in the atmosphere. When that happens, that warhead will spread an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. That electromagnetic pulse will be so powerful, it will knock out the grid. It will knock out all electrical substations. It will knock out electrical power in our homes, in our businesses, and in even our vehicles and our lives. Okay? I want to make it clear. Yes, I will be available to answer questions throughout this program, but I want you to know what's going on. Lori Borden is here, I see. I think she's for the first time. Please, guys, if you're here for the first time or even have not been here often, but off and on, I would ask you that you would all subscribe to our program. This is important. We are an emergency preparedness channel. We want you to be here. We want you to be here long term. Why? Because the longer you're here, the more information you're going to take home to your families, to your loved ones, and the people you know, the people you talk with, your neighbors and friends. We want you to spread this information far and wide. When you subscribe to our program, there's a little bell icon that you need to click on. That is right next to the subscription button. When you click on that bell icon, a drop-down menu of three items is going to pop up. Click on the word ALL, all. When you click on the word ALL, all, YouTube will get you notified when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube does not like me. They don't like this channel. And as a result, they don't always notify people when we come on the air. We have mods that aren't notified when we come on the air. There are friends of ours that have been very much a part of this program that aren't getting notified. But be advised, for the past 2 or 3 weeks, we've been trying to come on the air sometime after 4 o'clock. Before it was sometime after 6 o'clock, and I was noticing that we're coming on later and later because of things that happen. I don't want things to happen like that. I don't want to be on the air in the middle of the evening. I want to be on the air early enough to be able to talk to everybody. So everybody has a chance to be here and hear our voice and hear the information we want to share with you. This is important, especially today's conversation. Now, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We already know that there is a new breed of super weapons, supersonic weapons as well, missiles, super weapons can take out life, extinguish life, and extinguish life as we know it. A brand new breed of super weapons. That will make all the difference. Highly sophisticated missiles that we can't hear or see. They're powerful enough to annihilate the United States and other countries around the globe. And they can do that with a single blow to the very heart of our mainland, turning our entire nation into a dark graveyard. Please understand that. They can turn our entire nations into a dark graveyard. These are rockets only one of our enemies possesses, and actually it's not just one. Several of our enemies possess these weapons. Iran is just one of many. Russia is one of many. China is one of many. Okay? Now, who is sponsoring the largest military buildup since the Second World War? Who's doing that? China and Russia. Iran was doing it before we attacked them. Who else? Who else? India. India's been talking about it as well, building up their munitions. India has nuclear weapons. India and Pakistan have nuclear weapons, and they were fighting. They were fighting. What if India got tired of Pakistan? Yes, they have signed an agreement right now to stop the war. But what if they had attacked Pakistan with a nuclear weapon? The Middle East would be without power right now. If Pakistan did it, India and possibly even China, or parts of China, would be without electricity. Think about that. Depending on where that warhead was detonated, would very much tell us what's going on. Okay? We need to be aware of where the largest military buildups are and what's happening. We need to be very cognizant of this fact. These nations have used our money. They have stolen our technology to develop this weapon. China and Russia. An enemy that makes the Taliban and Russia look like a bunch of idiots. China. I'm talking about none other than China right now. Now, you see that while we have been spending the last 20 to 30 years fighting wars in the Middle East, yes. How about the war in Afghanistan or even Iraq back in the 1980s and 90s? They spent the last 20 to 30 years studying all of our moves. They know how we wage war. They know the weapons we use, and they know exactly how we use them. Not only that, but even our state governments, state and local governments, have allowed China to buy up land right next to our Air Force bases throughout the United States and throughout the world. Yes, China's been buying up land in most countries around the world, right next to our military bases. They know exactly what's going on. They have created a new weapon to exploit our weaknesses. Military experts have already begun to warn that China is convinced that it needs to hit the United States with a Pearl Harbor style surprise attack. Now, ladies and gentlemen, right before we attacked Iran last weekend, China moved up one of its largest aircraft carrier battle groups over here to the west coast of the United States because they knew we would be busy with Iran. They've been backing Iran just as well as Russia. Russia and China have a pact to help and support each other. Now, I have not heard whether that battle group in China still off the west coast of the United States. My friends over at the military bases in San Diego are not telling me anything. I have not heard a word about it. But they had an aircraft carrier off the west coast of the United States. Okay? The United States commander for America's forces in the Pacific seems to agree, warning U.S. officials to prepare for a Chinese attack. And with the help of their new super weapons, China has got us in its hairs. If you look at a weapon sight, whether it's a rifle, a shotgun, or even a semi-automatic weapon, it has crosshairs like this. China has it in its crosshairs. And they very well could use their new weapon to plunge us all into hell without a fight and without a single casualty. At least there won't be any casualties immediately. But in the next 3 months after that event happens, we're going to endure widespread blackouts, crippling fuel shortages. We're already having some fuel shortages already, and the fuel prices have skyrocketed within the last week. Empty grocery store shelves. Now, I have not seen any empty grocery store shelves yet. I'm saying yet. Ever since we attacked Iran, no, we did not attack their oil fields. We did not attack their oil refineries, but Israel did. Israel took out one of Iran's biggest oil refineries, and gas prices have skyrocketed since. How long is that going to happen? I don't know. But when gas prices skyrocket, what happens? Our main suppliers, our trucks, our planes, our trains, have to pay for fuel to deliver goods to various localities. They have to pay for fuel. When they have to pay for fuel, guess what? Those commodities that they are transporting to our stores, prices skyrocket as well. I'm just giving you a hint of what's going to happen, what is already happening. Mary McHenry's here in the chat. She said something very important here, and it's very sad. She said it's very sad that so many people will not listen or believe what is here. What will happen here? And until it does, like a slap in the face, that is when these people that are not prepared will be looking for help from us. We've talked about this very thing. We've talked about this very eventuality. That's why I have been asking on past programs on Emergency Preparedness Fridays for everybody to be prepared. My wife and I have at least 6 months worth of food stored away. 6 months worth of food and water stored away. For us, things will be hard after 6 months, but if we ration what we eat, if we settle down and don't eat as big of meals as we have in the past, we save what we have. Our food supply will probably last longer than even 6 months. And if we continue to try to add to it, even $1 every time we go to the store, $2 every time we go to the store, we might be able to get by for even further than that. But I am asking all of you, not just to help me, but to help each other. I'm going to continue to share this information with you, but I'm asking each one of you to do something about it as well. I'm asking each of you to please pay attention and take notes. Take notes about what you are going to do to try to make your lives better, to try to make it so you will survive what is going to happen. It might not happen today. It might not happen tomorrow, but it will happen. It will happen. Now, there's something else as well. Crime and violence that's hitting terrifying heights. Crime and violence hitting terrifying heights. What have we seen happen in Texas, in California, Northern and Southern California, and Santa Barbara, Oregon, Washington, Nebraska, Iowa, Ohio, Washington, D.C., New York City, Virginia, Massachusetts, and even down into Florida, but Florida's not going to tolerate it. Florida's already told those violent protesters, you do this violent protest, you're going to die. You're either going to go to jail or you're going to die. And if you die, it's because you did something to try to hurt somebody else. And then you deserve what you get. And then the police, the law enforcement of Florida, will be calling your families to claim your bodies or the remains thereof. Florida's not going to tolerate it. I do not think that Texas is going to tolerate it much longer either. Other states are going to follow along too. You need to be very aware of what's going on around you. Millions of families will be left homeless, hungry, desperately fighting for their lives. What am I talking about here? A surgical nuclear attack can mean game over for America, can mean game over for Canada, can mean game over for Japan, can mean game over for England, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, can mean game over for everybody. This is the kind of threat that has forced the highest ranks in the U.S. military to come out and issue somber warnings. Air Force Lieutenant General Clinton Hinote, Hinote, disclosed that this, which means it can basically put the entire American nation on its knees. Yeah, China could basically put America on its knees. Canada and the United States on its knees. This is without a doubt the single greatest threat to you and your family and your safety. Our lifestyles, along with the entirety of America and the entire world, will revert back 100 years backwards in time to the 1800s. Our well-being, not to mention your family's comfort, will then be only a dim memory. Emergency Management Associates here wants you to prepare for now inevitable event that promises to be the most disruptive, destructive, and most dangerous, disastrous time of our lives. This has been largely ignored by popular media. The mainstream media is not talking about it. They don't even want you to think about it. They have bigger fish to fry. Such as yesterday. What happened yesterday with the First Lady of the United States? She was blackballed by a Texas congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett accused the First Lady of the United States of taking bribes. Remember when the President and the First Lady went to Qatar? And Middle Eastern nations gave President Trump, or it wasn't Biden, it went President Trump and his wife went to Qatar. What happened? The Middle Eastern nations gave President Trump and also Melania gifts from them. But Jasmine Crockett from Texas accused the First Lady of scandal, a scandal worse than Watergate, trying to take the focus off of what is really going on and try to focus on our First Lady, the most gracious and loving First Lady we've had in some time. What kind of woman would do that? What kind of congresswoman would do that? Or a man? Who would do that? Jasmine Crockett and AOC from New York. Chuck Schumer from New York. Maxine Waters. Nancy Pelosi from California. Pencil neck Adam Schiff from Northern California as well. They made statements about the president and his cabinet and the first lady as well. They are trying to keep the focus off what they want to do and what they're planning to do as well. These Democrats, politicians, don't want our well-being. They don't give a flying rat's butt about anybody but themselves. I'm not talking about individual people across this nation who may have voted Democrat. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about these individual politicians. They're in it for nothing but the money. They don't care about us. These politicians are going after the media to try to keep our focus off of them. They are not even talking about Russia or China or Iran or anybody else. They're trying to keep our focus off the nations who want to do us harm. This video today is not about fear. Today's video is about emergency preparedness and survival. Emergency preparedness and survival. The subject today is EMP war. The subject of war is far too serious to cheapen with hype or hysterics. No exaggeration is necessary. Our news is dramatic enough without embellishment. This event will bring us historic suffering to good people around the world. No matter how difficult some of this may be to watch or even think about. In my investigation over the past few years, I've been working to expose China, Russia, and Iran, and even some of the other countries, and their dark plans for the United States and Canada and Europe. Yes, Europe. You should know that the most important part of this calamity is not what will happen, but rather what you can do about it. What you can do about it. Civil Defense Prepping is here as well. I appreciate you being here on this program with us. Okay? I appreciate all of you that are here with us. Okay? Are you going to be prepared when everything we take for granted changes overnight? Shelley Z to you says, this also includes Republicans. You're absolutely right, it does. Republicans and Democrats. We need to forget about those parties that have tried to take us away from everybody else. We need to start thinking about ourselves and our families, our friends and neighbors. That is what is most important. Forget about these politicians. They're dirtbags, Republicans and Democrats. I want you to be prepared when everything goes to heck in a handbasket, when things change literally overnight, and they will. I hope you can do that. Because China and Russia's and even Iran's sinister plot to kick off World War III is real. And they want to demolish the lives of millions of American, Canadian, European lives around this world. China, Russia, and Iran, to some extent, have unleashed what will go down as the biggest propaganda campaign in history. In history. The goal behind this campaign is simple: to make 1.4 billion Chinese and Russian citizens believe that America wants China and Russia's doom. None of us think that, do we? None of us even thought about China's and Russia's doom. The only reason we've even thought about Iran recently is because their Ayatollah has been chanting death to America for years. 50 years. But China and Russia also want our demise. Everyone's demise. China and Russia want to take over the world. And they are thinking that they are going to have to defend their own mainland against America's aggression. They're wrong. We don't want to be aggressors to anyone. We don't want to be aggressors to anyone, but we want our own safety and we want our own sovereignty. Look what Russia's been doing with their soldiers, killing off 10,000 people a month. Killing off 10,000 people a month because they've been indoctrinated. Russian soldiers have been indoctrinated. Ukrainian soldiers have also been indoctrinated to some extent. But I don't believe even in Ukraine that they are talking about annihilating Russian people. They just want to stop the attack. They want to stop the war. At least their soldiers do. The reason is loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen. The reason is loud and clear. They are subconsciously mobilizing their citizens and preparing them for war against the United States of America. Not just the US, but Canada and England and other Scandinavian countries as well. Did you know that Finland and Sweden and Norway are right on the border of Russia? Oh yeah, absolutely are. Sweden asked the United States to have military drills with us so that they could help prepare to strengthen their own borders and help their militaries prepare what's going to happen. The propaganda machines of Russia and China, and to some extent Iran with the Revolutionary Guard, began this mass hypnosis with a strange epic war movie. At first it seems like a piece of entertainment, but it's not. If you take a deeper look at what is happening behind a terrifying hidden message, because it purposely foreshadows an event that China and Russia have been planning for decades. China even made a movie about defeating America in a major battle, a battle where we will not just lose, a battle where we don't just lose it, but we are humiliated in. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That is just the tip of the iceberg, brothers and sisters. This movie that I'm talking about has painted American soldiers as evil men. They're not. I have met a lot of American soldiers, Navy and Marines and Air Force soldiers. I have met Army soldiers. They're not evil men. They have been trained to defend our country. I've met men in Sweden and Denmark and Norway, and even some in Finland. They're not evil men either. They just want to defend their countries. I know men and women around this globe. You're not evil. You're not evil at all. You just want to defend your countries, your cities, and your towns and provinces where you live. I get that. I get that. This movie is planting seeds of hatred in the minds of its viewers in Russia and China, and to some extent Iran as well. It was a fictional story, but the implications are real and dangerous. The message has been very clear that America is a threat, and Russia and China must protect itself from the never-ending onslaught of the evil nation. We're not evil. We are not planning for an attack except our military defending ourselves. That's all we have planned. Why would China and Russia do this? And why now are they specifically going after the US? What has been going on politically during the past 8 to 10 years, even 30? China and more so Russia at this point have been pushing us to our limits because who we have put in charge as leaders of our country. They have shown that the United States is weak and rapidly declining. That is why they have been pushing money, planting protesters in various cities and towns across our country to protest, paying them to protest, giving them weapons to protest with, not just putting them out on the street to peacefully protest, but giving them weapons as well. Why did we see them on the streets with sledgehammers and large weapons? Why did we see them on the street with gas masks, with cinder blocks, bricks, sticks, and other weapons? They've wanted to portray American citizens as weak, letting these protesters beat us up. Afghanistan, let's talk about Afghanistan. The Taliban in Afghanistan fought Russia for years. Finally, Russia got tired of fighting a war in Afghanistan that was losing. A couple of years later, what happens with the US? We were mired within Afghanistan, fighting the same war that Russia had given up. Then all of a sudden, Biden pulls us out of that war, but leaves all of our military forces, our equipment in Afghanistan, gives them planes, gives them helicopters, gives them artillery and ammunition as well. What's up with that? What's up with that? And the failure of the United States to deter Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Crazy. Yes, it is crazy. And now, along with a bunch of downright stupid foreign policies that have cost us major allies in Saudi Arabia, Brazil, and now even Mexico. As a result of China and Russia having become allies, having gained mass confidence between the two countries, they think America is ineffective, while the Russian and Chinese armies are at their peaks of strength. With the United States stretched thin with forces in Ukraine, Israel, and other countries, and even over near Taiwan. The almost perfect time to carry out an attack on America, or even England. Yes, England, guys. You might think this sounds to be an extreme scenario, and China wouldn't dare attack the United States. Oh, really? Why did last week they move one of their largest aircraft carriers off the coast of the West Coast? The historical record since the founding of China in 1949 shows otherwise. When confronted by a mounting threat to its geopolitical interests, Beijing and Russia, Beijing and Moscow are not waiting to be attacked. They shoot first to gain the advantage of surprise. That's what happened in Ukraine. They shot first to gain the element of surprise. Both Putin and Xi Jinping have been warning the United States for years to be careful as to what we are doing. I'm warning you now. I'm putting out the warning voice now. Stephen, do not use all caps. Do not use all caps. You've been warned by our mods. Don't use all caps in your messages here in the chat. Okay? YouTube looks at that as you're yelling. Please do not anyone use all caps. Yes, I want you here. Yes, I do. Please subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell so you're notified when we come on the air. But please do not use all caps. I want you here. I want you to be able to ask questions. I want you to be able to interact with the other people in our chat. That's important. But getting back to what I'm talking about. Both Putin and Xi Jinping and the Ayatollah in Iran have been warning the United States to be very careful as to what we've been doing, what we have been doing, what we are doing. Let's take the Korean War, 1951 to 1953. Let's look at North Korea with Kim Jong-un. During the past Trump administration, he made friends with Kim Jong-un. Towards the end of his administration, he put Kim Jong-un on a leash. Kim Jong-un didn't like that. And then Kim Jong-un stormed out of his last session with President Trump. And ever since then, Kim Jong-un has been developing nuclear weapons. Kim Jong-un has also been protesting against the United States. Kim Jong-un also signed a alliedship contract with Iran. North Korea has been supplying arms to Iran. Russia and China have been supplying arms to Iran. We know that. Why? Because Iran has sent missiles over to Israel. And they have markings from Russia and China, and even North Korea. I'm talking about the Korean War and clashes with Vietnam until 1974. We can use this as an example. China attacked the minute that it felt threatened by other nations. Up until President Richard M. Nixon made friends with China. China wanted money from the United States to help develop themselves, develop business sense, to develop computers and computer technology that they stolen from the United States. Now they've done that. The CCP, the Chinese political party, they think that America threatens its sovereignty. No, we don't. No, we don't. And it's all because of a little island. Little island that is 3 times smaller than New York City. If this little island could be the reason that we get into a devastating war with China, that island is Taiwan. We've talked about this a little bit in the past. If the CCP were to invade Taiwan tomorrow, we would be forced to defend it. We signed a pact with Taiwan that China doesn't like. Russia doesn't like it either. But China and Russia are tied at the hip. We would be forced to defend Taiwan. And this would kick off the next World War. Now, some folks may say, why not let China just have Taiwan? Yes, I'm talking a little about politics here, but politics have a great deal to do with what we're talking about tonight and why we all need to be prepared. Okay? Abu Mohammed says the Cuba Missile Crisis returns. Part of it. Cuba hates our guts. Cuba hates our guts. What happened when President Trump took over office the second time? Obama had established a U.S. embassy with Cuba. What happened with that? Russia and Cuba had put up sensors in the U.S. embassy in Cuba. They had been doing everything they can to make our embassy people sick. Yeah, sick. They've not wanted anything to do with Americans. President Trump closed down that embassy completely and pulled all Americans out of Cuba. There's a reason. There's a reason, guys. Like I said, why not let China have Taiwan? A lot of folks are asking that question. They say it's not our fight, not our concern. The problem is that Taiwan makes 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. Those little semiconductors that go in our computers, go in our cars, go in our remotes that open our car doors and turn the key to start our engines. Yes, those semiconductors. Those semiconductors are tiny little operating brain cells inside our vehicles or any other modern device. Your smartphones, your brake sensors in your car, a hospital ventilator, even our fighter jets. Even given the fact that President Trump has invited manufacturers to Arizona. Yes, they have a huge semiconductor manufacturing business just outside of Phoenix to make semiconductors. China is not intimidated. So if China attacked Taiwan, they could cut us off from the semiconductors that we need to defend ourselves. That would cripple us. We would be on our knees. Europe would be on their knees because we send semiconductors to Europe as well. And Taiwan ships semiconductors to Europe as well. We would have no choice but to fight to stop Taiwan from being taken captive. But with our current 20th century weapons, we would lose in a matter of weeks. That is why Breaking Defense called it a bloody mess, with a terrible, huge loss of life. With President Trump also threatening to attack the United States as it has, and our presence in the Middle East, our forces are spread thin. The USS Harry Truman came into the Eastern Mediterranean. The U.S. Nimitz that had been over by Taiwan moved over to Israel to try to defend Israel should Iran attack Israel and the United States forces. If war happens, it will not be a conventional war. Conventional wars are expensive. They take a long time. China and Russia want a quick and swift victory. They want a quick and swift victory. Russia doesn't know what a swift victory has. They've been attacking Ukraine for years now, and they have even lost some property as a result. Ukraine has lost some property, but Russia has too. Russia doesn't want to stop. Russia wants to take Ukraine back. Russia told the United States, even recently, within the last week or so, if you don't stop supporting Ukraine, that they are going to attack the United States. They sent their Big Bear bombers off of Alaska. They've been doing that for a long time. But now they sent their bombers and their fighters down the entire U.S. West Coast and also on our East Coast, even over to Greenland, even over to Norway and Denmark, and even Africa. For years now, they have been developing a super weapon that is 1,000 times more devastating than nuclear devices. It is a weapon that can instantly end modern life in America by knocking out our power grid. Nothing that has electronic components would ever work again. Cars won't start. Televisions, our smartphones, and the internet will all go dead. Yeah, dead. Former Vice President Gore has always claimed that he is the one that started the internet. He's a liar. He's a liar. But these countries are going to send us back to the Middle Ages. We'll have to make fire to be able to cook and use candles for light. This weapon was developed by a group of Chinese rocket scientists. They called it the Angel of Death. And it's a hypersonic EMP missile that now Russia has as well. They and Russia have been parading it around and practicing and threatening us with it for the past several years. Last month, Russia paraded around the streets of Moscow, making sure Russian television was promulgating their supersonic weapon. Right now, it's very easy to predict where a missile will land once it's fired. We know it's going to go from point A to point B. We can predict its trajectory. Our computers can predict its trajectory. Our Air Force military computers can protect and predict its trajectory. That's because of that. Our missile defense systems can intercept them once they're fired. However, those supersonic missiles are new. Those supersonic missiles were fired by Iran. And some of those supersonic missiles made their way over to Israel through the Iron Dome system. And they destroyed Israeli property. Those same supersonic weapons that China and Russia have can be launched at the United States, and they can be here in 30 minutes. Our Iron Dome system that President Trump wants to have is not ready to protect this country or even Canada right now. We have an Iron Dome system over in England that will help protect England. And their troops have been trained to use it. But what makes EMP supersonic missiles impossible to defend that against? The weapon can be detonated high above a target on the Earth. That supersonic missile warhead can be detonated high above a target on the Earth. And as a result, having been detonated high up in the atmosphere, they can destroy a greater bunch of property here on the Earth. Huge acreage of property here on this Earth. Not just acreage, thousands of miles distant. There are also weapons in space that can be used to attack. This means that it can keep its target a secret up until the last few seconds of its flight. In other words, missile defenses probably will not work against it. You can't shoot down a missile that can zig left or zig right whenever it wants to. And it's also because it's traveling so fast. It's able to do whatever it wants as if it doesn't exist. If that doesn't make it difficult enough for us to handle, it's the fastest weapon on Earth. It can move as fast as 25 times the speed of sound. That is 19,810 miles per hour. That means it can fly from China to San Diego in roughly 23 to 30 minutes. From Moscow to Washington State in a matter of 20 to 30 minutes. Moscow to Washington, D.C. in a matter of 30 to 40 minutes. It can move from right to left in the air with making it impossible to shoot down. Our national security implications are clear. The vice chair of the Joint Chief of Staff said, quote, "We don't have any defense against such a weapon. We don't have any defense against that kind of weapon." Interesting. That's very interesting. Have any of you thought what might happen? Have any of you thought what might happen if they are able to do what they're planning? I have. I've had a few sleepless nights about it. Not just worried about the weapon, but worried about my friends and my family, all of you, and our world, our society, everything that we've been planning for years on doing. Yes, I've been worried about all of this. What are we going to do? What are we going to do, guys? What are we going to do? Alan Newton's here in the chat. He says he believes supersonics are a different animal compared to supersonic. They really are. They really are. But are we able to do something to try to defend ourselves? I'm asking. What are we doing about it? What are we doing about it, guys? What are we doing about it? Are we able to protect ourselves or not? Are we able to protect ourselves or not? What are we going to do? What are we going to do, guys? There's a reason I'm asking. I have a feeling that many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm asking you all yourselves, do you understand what we're doing? Why we're doing it? Because, guys, if we don't do it now, if we don't take care of business now, we're not going to be able to do it later. Judy Olson's here from Southern California. Thank you for being here, Judy. Appreciate it. The Task Force on National and Homeland Security issued a somber warning. They stated that this bomb will not only destroy our unprotected systems, but our military systems as well, because the military systems are not hardened to face such a powerful weapon, a powerful missile. Friends, this new super weapon will cripple our grid in less than 5 minutes. 5 minutes. They will spark a coast-to-coast blackout that will last not months but even years, and worldwide, because they want to have control. Imagine not having electricity for days and weeks, months, or even years. Think about that. No lights, no water, because water pumps that our cities and counties have, our provinces have, will not work without electricity. There will be no refrigeration, no navigation systems, no gas pumping, no food transportation, no waste dumping or garbage collecting. America and the world's entire energy system will collapse. Fuel won't be delivered. Rolling blackouts will sweep the land. Blackouts will totally stop everything. Pipes are going to freeze. Food in the freezer will go bad. You may shiver in the dark, praying for little heat for weeks. Praying for little heat for weeks. Alan Newton here saying he saw footage of Russia hypersonic missile hitting targets in Ukraine prior to Inauguration Day. Horrifying speed and power. You're right. Horrifying speed and power. Incredible. My dear friend Laura Marie is here. Thank you for being here, Laura. We appreciate you and love you. Catherine Sigerson said here in Canada, they can spray us all with a chemical like a bug spray. You're right. What do you think they've been doing for years now? Putting chemicals within our jet fuel. So our jet transportation aircraft are flying over our entire states and countries, spreading a killer fog in clouds. Unreal. Unreal. Experts tell us if diesel fuel is cut off, it would only take 3 days. 3 days, folks, before supermarket shelves are bare. We talked about this back about 4 or 5 years ago, even during COVID. When trucking was slowed down and stopped. Within 72 hours, energy will be cut off. Almost all supermarkets will run out of supplies and shut down. During Hurricane Helene last year, our Walmart here in Morganton shut down. Shut down for over a week. They open on weekends under restricted hours. Restricted hours because they had generators powering their freezers, powering their electricity. Catherine Sigerson in Canada says we put the oxygen mask on so we could help others. That's fine for a short time period. But do you have extra oxygen canisters that you can use for an extended period of time? I ask you that now. I have made sure Carol and I have a stash of oxygen containers, filters, for our oxygen masks, our gas masks. In the 72 hours following an energy cutoff, almost all supermarkets would be out of supplies and shut down. If this continued Then a matter of weeks, civilization as we know it would come to an end. A matter of weeks. Gangs would be roaming the streets just like they are already, knocking on doors, knocking doors down, demanding what we have to give it to them, or them just taking it. They're out killing people. They're out killing people, and sometimes even worse. The Congressional Electromagnetic Pulse Commission warned that an EMP would cause a massive blackout that lasts for a year or more, killing out up to over 9 out of 10 Americans by starvation and societal collapse. 9 out of 10 Americans would be killed by starvation and societal collapse. I'm asking you now. Please don't think this can't happen. It can. Linda Covington says here in the chat, don't be an ostrich with your head in the sand. I'm telling you the same thing. You need to be serious about this. You need to be very serious. Security expert Joseph Weiss has noted that China not only has a backdoor into our grid, they have our computer systems in the back of their hands. China and Russia both have our computer systems in the back of their hands. They have their hackers out there. Even as much so as last week, China and Russia have hacked into our power grids. They have hacked into our nation's political systems in Washington, D.C., and I believe in every state in this country. They have a weapon that can destroy the grid entirely, and they are continuing to remind us about that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a hypothetical warning. This is a warning that China's modern warfare methods are real. Russia's modern warfare methods are real. Last year, after a conflict with India, China crippled Mumbai's electrical grid, and they caused a massive blackout, leaving more than 30 million people without electricity. Look what happened in India and Spain last week. India and Spain last week lost their power. Spain didn't know why. I can tell you why. Because China hacked into it. China hacked into it. Supermarkets and hospitals, the water supply were completely crippled. Yet despite the fact an EMP is probably the mother of all disasters, it's not just scary enough for the government to take the necessary action. And let's be honest, our government right now is terrible at listening to warnings about disasters. Disaster preparedness doesn't win elections. Disaster preparedness does not win elections. Catherine Sigerson said in the chat, Amish lifestyle is best. At best. Now, friends, family here, all of what I am talking about right now is underway. It's all underway. We have never been so close to world war as we have during the past few days. Every state, every county, every town, every city and neighborhood, every dwelling in America, Canada, and around the world is tied to a vast network of over 55,000 electrical substations. A vast network of over 55,000 electrical substations. The critical substations are the ones that are placed at pivotal points across the country. They're not EMP proof. They are not EMP proof. which means that an EMP attack can easily fry those substations. Are there backups? Yes, absolutely there are. But they won't be able to survive a missile as powerful as a hypersonic missile that both China and Russia and even North Korea possess. And Iran now as well. Some utilities have only recently begun the process of strengthening their substations. But it's technically impossible to harden the 55,000 substations that are already available. That would cost $5 trillion. And right now, America is already in debt. England is in debt. Every country around this world is in debt. So do you think they're going to be able to replace 55,000 substations? Not even. And we know how greedy the public utilities are. We know how greedy the politicians are. The odds of them spending that amount of money to protect an EMP-proof the grid are close to zero. Close to zero. Catherine, I know the oxygen mask was a metaphor, but it's a real issue. Now this gets even scarier. When you know that the hypersonic missile doesn't even need a target, that all electrical substations scattered throughout the world and this country will cause a major blackout. A report was leaked out of the Wall Street Journal. That report found that the country's 55,000 electrical substations, just 9, only 9, had the possibility of even being able to withstand a power attack from that supersonic weapon. Just 9. An attack on a handful of them would cause a coast-to-coast blackout. The bottom line is this. If China knocks down 9 out of 55,000 electrical substations, the whole grid will go down for months, if not years. After more than 3 days without electricity, everything just folds up. Trains, heat, refrigeration, water supplies will all be damaged, some beyond repair. Billions of dollars worth of food is going to spoil. And according to many power grid experts, listen to this. According to many power grid experts, any significant disruption in the national power grid would send us straight back to the 18th or even the 19th century. Fact. Fact. We have at most gone a few days, even 2 weeks. But what happens when the power does not come back on? At a community level, guys, at a community level. We have not experienced one yet, and we don't really know how bad it's going to get. We may have thought that things were bad during the pandemic. World leaders right now have planned another pandemic. Yes, they have. They planned it. The World Health Organization developed it, along with Bill Gates and even Dr. Fauci. Yeah, the World Health Organization. Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates are persona non grata here in the US. But they planned on the pandemic so they could lock us all down again. One more time, to gain complete control of all of us. Their pandemic is unleashed on the world right now. Within a year of an EMP attack, 9 out of 10 Americans and Canadians would be dead because we cannot support a population of the present size in the urban centers and the like without electricity. And that is exactly what I believe the Iranians are working towards. Experts also agree that the next nuclear war will start with at least one EMP. At least one EMP. If one of the nuclear power blasts even is within 275 miles above ground, you will produce an EMP that will basically send us, the Canadians and Mexico, back to the Dark Ages. The US, Canada, and Mexico will have gone back to the Dark Ages. Can we fight back after an EMP? Or will we be nothing but sitting ducks for Russia and Canadian nukes? What EMP effects and how can you protect your electronics, your cars, your mobile phones, and everything else you have in your homes? What can you do to protect yourself? On an individual scale, because you don't really know where you will be when it happens. There will not be any kind of transportation or even telecommunication. None. None. None whatsoever. You will have to walk your way home. You're going to have to walk your way home. A friend of mine that used to live in Salt Lake City, I don't know where she lives anymore, she had a dream. She lived about 40 minutes south of Salt Lake City. She had a dream that a weapon was ignited over Salt Lake City. And Salt Lake City and everything around it was destroyed. She saw cars parked on Interstate 15 north and southbound. Nothing was moving. What if your car gets stuck with your family on a highway on a cold winter day or at night, in the middle of the night when you can't see? You need to have a backup plan. You need to have a backup plan. If your child is at school, you have to go and get him or her. How are you going to do that? Josh Milligan says, fear not, trust Jesus. That's a platitude, guys. Yes, I trust Jesus, but even Christ said it's not just faith. Faith without works is dead. Yes, I know a lot of Christians don't believe that. It's in the Bible. Faith without works is dead. We must do what we can ourselves. Then Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father are going to help us. Vigorous Wolf is saying maybe look into magnetic generators. Guess what? Those magnetic generators will be melted down when that EMP hits. Yeah. Sage Pup is here in the chat. He's one of my dearest friends. He's a moderator on this channel. He said, we were taught in Navy boot camp about this stuff 35 years ago. The old Soviet system, if an EMP happens, launches everything they have, we would be dead in the water. That was 35 years ago. Things have got even more dangerous since. It's imperative. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, this is imperative. It's imperative to have this in the back of your mind. You need to make a list of things that you need to do immediately after an EMP. As I said before, many times throughout the years that I've been on the air, 6+ years now, nearly 6.5, we've asked you to have an emergency preparedness plan. You need to make a list of things you need to do immediately after an EMP. But something more. Something more. Just like an economic collapse, this will lead to an economic collapse. You won't be able to do a lot of things after the crisis begins. the information you find is going to bellow like it's good. Yes, the information you're going to find right now is going to be good. But what happens when everything else shuts down around you? You need to have a plan. I've been talking about a plan for years. If you want to prepare for an EMP, you need to have some things ready in advance. You need to have some things ready in advance. So what actions should you take immediately following an EMP strike? Remember that time will be critical, very, very critical. You're not going to have much time. The first few hours or even days at the most will enable you to get a jump on everyone else, to set the stage for your success. You will immediately know that an EMP, be it from a nuclear weapon or a massive solar flare, you'll know for a fact that it has already struck your area. Your car will no longer work. Your cell phone will no longer work. The power in your house will be out everywhere. Planes will have fallen from the sky. We talked about that last week. You will know it was an EMP, but the vast majority of people are literally sitting around waiting for someone to tell them what to do. And like everyone else, I will be off the air because electronics will get knocked out. There will be no internet. That is why I'm giving you this information now. This is why I'm talking about this right now. You are not going to know how large the scope of this strike is going to be, but you will have to assume the very worst. You will have to assume the very worst, which would be a nationwide, worldwide outage. A nationwide, worldwide outage. Grace for purposes, water will be most important. 3 days without that, not drinking water will shut the body down. You're right. 3 to 4 or 5 days without water will shut you down completely. Now, first things first. First things first. If you are at work, you need to be able to get home. You need to get home to your family. You need to get home for those things that you have stored in your house to try to help you. Things that you've stored in your house to try to help yourself and your family. Your boss will no longer have authority over you. Your coworkers and your boss will be in the same situation. Your boss and your coworkers will no longer be a priority. They will be trying to restart their computers that will never again work. They're going to try to restart their smartphones, sitting in their break room trying to call 911 and saying that things like this are ridiculous. I'm going to miss my 3 p.m. sales call. You, on the other hand, will know that you will go to your car and change into a spare set of clothes and change into a spare set of shoes that you kept in the trunk. You're going to don your get home bag. You're going to don your go home bag, your go bag. You're going to start walking. Hopefully your walk will not take more than a day. Once home, it is time to start implementing your preparedness plan. Then is the time to implement your preparedness plan. And while you are on the way home, think about things that you can add to your plan, because you're going to be very lucid. You will be very lucid. You know what you're going to need to do, and you'll be able to write those things down when you get home. If you don't, you're making mental notes or writing notes down on a piece of paper and sticking that piece of paper into your pocket to transfer over to your preparedness plan, a written plan. Don't just put it on your computer, because your computer will be melted down. Write it down, print it up, and put it in a book. I've done that book on our bookshelf right here. I have our emergency preparedness plan in a book on the bookshelf right here. Many of you I've shown it to already. We've talked about this. Danny Huddleston, thank you for being here. Danny Huddleston says, keep a folding bike in your car that will help you get home. I agree, that would be helpful. Many people don't have that money to buy that folding bike. Charlene Mail is also saying store clothing as well, if possible, because supplies will not be available. You're right. That's why we have a go bag. You have an extra change of clothes and a change of shoes, so you'll be able to hike longer distances. Okay? Remember, time is critical here. Once you get home, you start implementing your preparedness plan. Again, I'm going to say it again and again and again. Remember, time is absolutely critical, and you're only going to have a small window of it in order to set yourself up for some kind of success. During the initial hours after this happens, during these initial hours and days, people still have faith that some sort of government agency will come in and make everything better. I'm going to tell you, FEMA's not going to exist. After this year, FEMA's not going to exist. And if anybody from the government comes knocking, don't open your door. Do not open your door. They're not here to help you. They're here to make your life miserable. Yes, I trust President Trump, but I don't trust our government as we know it today. Those people knocking will expect to see the power come back on any minute, because someone will surely do something. They will tell each other to sit tight, just hold on for a day or so, because eventually the government will roll in with loaded supplies, and some military officer or government official will explain that this is merely a temporary situation, a temporary problem, nothing to worry about. Sorry for the inconvenience. I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. You better know better. You better know better. I need to know better, because you realize just how devastating an EMP strike is. And the reality of it is that it could be months, even years, before systems, electrical systems, or anything else comes back. It will only take a week or so, or two at most, before things start getting really ugly. Because people are going to get angry. People that don't have anything will get angry from the beginning. As I said, gangs will run rampant. Other people that are hungry will run rampant. And some of them may already know that you and I have been preparing ourselves and our families. That's why I've been telling everybody, you need to protect yourselves. Not only prepare, but protect yourselves as well. With all of that in your mind, you're going to need to take 7 actions, because you were prepared for what is going to happen. Number 1, we've talked about cash. We've talked about salting away cash in your emergency preparedness kit. Salting away cash in a Ziploc bag. In the first few days after an EMP strike, cash will still have value. Take all of your cash and that radio flyer wagon and your kids and your dogs, your cats, or whatever you have, and walk down to the corner store. Avoid the big retail giant stores. I suggest the corner gas station or the local drugstore. The owner of the store will no doubt be there, concerned that the items in the store are unprotected. The owner or manager of the store will be there to try to protect what they have. Because again, I'm saying that the gangs will run rampant. They're going to be there concerned that the items in the store are unprotected during a power outage. Explain to the owner that you are in need of some supplies. You are in need of some supplies. And you can pay cash. You do not require change. Tell him or her that you will give them an extra $100 to allow you to shop for a few minutes. Shop for just a few minutes. Load up your wagon with anything that you can find, including medication, candy bars, water bottles, Pop-Tarts, lighters, hand sanitizers, etc. Write down a list of things that you're going to need. Of course, you should be well stocked at home, but you might as well get rid of your worthless paper money in exchange for any amount of extra supplies that you can get your hands on. A week, maybe less. Most stores will be completely looted, so you need to take advantage of this very moment. 2, fill up your bathtubs with water. Hopefully you have a water bob for each bathtub. Hopefully you have a water bob for each bathtub in your home, in addition to several other water storage devices and water purification and filtration devices. Remember, a grid down means that fresh water will stop flowing to your home very quickly. After a rain, water stopped flowing here after a day. One lousy day, and the power system would not power any water into our home. Carol and I were glad for the water we had stored here, both drinking water and non-potable water that we use for washing and also used for flushing toilets. Okay? The fresh water will stop flowing to your home very quickly. Fill up your tub as soon as you can. That extra 100 or so gallons could prove invaluable. If you are concerned about the quality of the water, remember, you can add 8 drops of regular chlorine bleach, non-scented bleach. 8 drops of regular non-scented chlorine bleach per gallon to help purify what you have in the tub. Also note, you may have anywhere from 25 to 50 gallons of water in your hot water heater. Turn off the burner. Turn off the gas burner to your water heater. That way, your water heater will not blow up, and you'll be able to use the water in your hot water heater. But before you do that, shut off the water supply at the top of the hot water. That way, any nasty water, any contaminated water that comes to your home will not flow into that hot water heater, because you're going to need that hot water heater water to either drink or cook with. Third item on this list, talk to your neighbors. This step is absolutely critical to survival. You have to get out and talk to your close neighbors and friends and explain to them what is going on, because many of them will not have this opportunity to watch this program. Even though you may have tried to share this program with your family and friends and others, many of them will not have seen this program. They won't know what's going on. They will be in denial for the most part. Hopefully you will have copies of the EMP report that I just gave you. It's on the internet. Hopefully you will have copies of the EMP report printed off, which you can distribute door to door. Explain to them what is going on, and that time is critical. Let them know a worst case scenario means there will be no help coming for quite a long time. Law enforcement and fire department and medical crews will be tied up. You also need to get yourself trained in what to do in medical crisis situations. Charlene says that she's been told that you're crazy, a conspiracy theorist. I hope not. Yes, Charlene, you may have talked to your neighbors and friends and your family. They might think you're crazy, but guess what? When crap hits a fan like this, they're going to realize that you're not crazy, that you're not a conspiracy theorist, that you're real. Yes, Catherine, the cities will be horrible. The cities will be horrible. Let your neighbors know that a worst case scenario means that there will be no one coming for quite some time. Additionally, mention the following to them. A, discuss a neighborhood watch program. Gather your neighbors together in a meeting central to where each of you lives. That way, you're helping to protect each other's property. You're not taking your eyes off your own home, but you're there talking about how to put together a neighborhood watch to help protect each other. To protect each other. That's what I'm talking about. Tell them that in a few days or weeks, things could possibly get very dangerous with hungry people roaming the streets. And this is essential that you define your neighborhood's boundaries. You define your neighborhood's boundaries and set up a neighborhood watch of sorts, assigning people different shifts to help protect each other. B, offer to hold a meeting. Set up a time that you can have a meeting at your home or in a convenient place outside so you can watch your homes. You're going to want to protect your homes. You're not going to be able to do it any other way. Say every day at sunrise you meet near your garage or meet out in one of your yards so you can help watch your streets and watch your homes. Tell them they are invited, that every day you will be passing out information and talking about information. At first, you might not have anyone attend your meetings, but in a few days, there will be a handful. In a week, there might be 50 or more. Hungry, scared, tired people demanding answers. If you're going to assume the role of a leader, be prepared to do just that. Be prepared to do just that. Delete Fund says they have already implemented their preparedness contingency plans and have secured their property. I'm glad that's the case. I'm very glad to hear that. Tell your neighbors, your friends, tell them to use their cash, much like you have already done. Tell them that their cash will soon be worthless. Tell them that their cash will soon be worthless, that they need to get down to the nearest market to spend it. Most people will have no cash on hand, so that probably won't be an issue. D, tell them to inventory the supplies in their homes. Inventory the supplies in your homes. Most people will have 3 to 5 days worth of food on hand in their home. You should mention that they need to start rationing what they have and to take inventory of everything else. Start identifying those people with skills in your neighborhood. Identify those people with skills in your neighborhood. I've done that. I've also gone to churches and done the same thing. Churches need to have a list of people with skills so that they will know what people to go to if they need medical help. They will know people to go to that may have a skip loader or a truck or whatever is necessary to conduct whatever business you have. Now, I've already written this down. How to organize a survival community, as well as what skills will be valuable when a crap hits a fan situation happens. While making the rounds in your neighborhood, you should start identifying who has special skills and make note of it. If you haven't already done that in your churches, you need to talk to the pastor. You need to talk and make sure that you have a committee assigned to do this. Cops or military personnel could help you with security. Cops and or military personnel might be able to help you. Doctors have obvious value. Doctors and nurses obviously have value, and other people in your neighborhood also as well. Start rationing your food. Start rationing your food, guys. I've been talking about this for a very long time. Hopefully you will have at least a 6-month to a year supply of food for your family, if not more. Start rationing food immediately, because more than likely you will have to share some of your food with your neighbors. It will be unavoidable. You will need their help to survive as a community, and there's absolutely no way out of this. Otherwise, they will starve while watching you and your family live a high on the hog lifestyle. Believe me, they're not going to like that, and they will get mad. They will get mad, as these roaming gangs of people out on the street already are. This does not mean that you cannot oversee how much rations are distributed or seek out other sources of food. But remember this. Nobody gets through a crap hits a fan event alone. No one gets through a crap hits a fan event alone. Remember that. Remember that. Now, another time I'm going to talk about building an effective way to build a 5-year supply of food. Yes, I said a 5-year supply of food. Let's talk about hygiene preparations. This is number 5 on my list. Hygiene preparations. Consider where you're going to dispose of your human waste. It might be a good time to start digging a pit. Also consider where you're going to dispose of your trash, and if you will bury it or burn it. Remember, the trash man won't be around next Sunday. Your toilets will be able to stop, won't be able to work at all. Your toilets will stop flushing almost immediately. Listen to your weather radio. Listen to your weather radio. I don't know how many times I've talked about emergency AM/FM battery-powered radios. I have several battery-powered radios here in our home. Several of them. This is my AM/FM weather radio. I also have a shortwave AM/FM radio here with weather capabilities as well. Listen to your solar hand crank weather radio and secure it even in the microwave in the basement to see if it might still work if an EMP hasn't already struck. You should monitor the NOAA weather radio frequencies. Monitor the NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration weather frequencies. That's why I have this radio. That's also why I have a police scanner here. I have it tuned to the weather frequencies as well. You should monitor your weather radio frequencies throughout the day in case there's information being published which you can use to stay informed. Maybe the EMP strike will only cover 500 square miles, and help will be on the way soon, in a week or so. Or maybe there's nothing but static. That's not a good sign. 7. Consider your own security plan. Consider your own security plan. That's all part of your emergency preparedness plan, having a security plan. Despite all of the actions you're taking, trying to help everyone within your community by reaching out, helping to organize them. Guess what? That's not going to be enough. That is not going to be enough. Reaching out to help those within your community by reaching out to organize them. Realize that not everything goes to plan. Not everything goes to plan. Iceman is here in the chat saying, Try is the key word. I agree. Try is the key word. Nonconformists is here in the chat saying what's going on, what's going down. We're talking about an EMP attack. We're talking about preparedness. We're talking about preparedness, guys. If you just come into this program, once we get through with it, go back to the beginning and watch the entire program. We're giving you valuable information here. Having your own security plan is going to be absolutely necessary. But again, realize that not everything goes to plan. You may have to revise your plan. There's going to be dissenters in your neighborhood. There are always going to be dissenters everywhere. Or those outside your community who you might choose to take advantage, who might choose to take advantage of you and other people in your neighborhood. Looting may become prevalent very, very quickly, and no neighborhood will be immune. Consider your security plan. This is no time to rely on charity. This is no time to rely on charity. This is no time to rely on charity. I said it 3 times. That's important. That's important. Nonconformist is government or natural. Both. Both. We've been talking about this since the beginning. Both natural and governmental EMP. Consider your security plan. This is no time to rely on charity or the goodness of mankind. Remain suspicious of all activity, and never, never walk around unarmed. Never allow your family members to venture out alone. And remember to stay in after dark. Stay in your homes after dark. All of that said, I would caution you against using deadly force unless it is absolutely necessary. Do not use deadly force unless it's absolutely necessary. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect your family. But remember, there must come a time when the power does come back on, and people will be held accountable for their actions. There will become a time at some point when the power does come back on, and yes, people will be held accountable for their actions. An EMP strike on our nation, anywhere in this world, will be an absolutely catastrophic event. And while I am sure all of us hope that something like this never happens, hope is never a course of action. Despite our best efforts to prepare for such an event, there is a good chance that many will not survive. As I pointed out during this presentation, some even government officials have predicted that within a year of the EMP strike, whether it's a natural solar event or a weapon event, detonated above or in our atmosphere, above the ground in our atmosphere, 9 out of 10 Americans will be dead. 9 out of 10 Americans will be dead within a week. In sports success, failure or success on the field of play is determined months before the actual game has happened, by how much dedication the athletes have displayed during practice. In much the same way, success or failure of yourself and your friends and neighbors is going to be used following an EMP strike, following a total collapse of our government. This will have been determined by how seriously we took our preparation supplies and our preparation strategies in the months or years prior to it actually happening. I'm asking everybody right now to be prepared. I'm asking right now to take care of yourself and your family. Get prepared right now, because what I've been talking about tonight is going to happen. I promise you it will happen. How well you are determined to be successful, how much you are determined to be successful, is going to entirely come upon your own preparation strategy in months or years before this happens. Yes, an EMP could happen tomorrow, tonight, next week, next year. Yes, it could happen. But given everything I talked about tonight, it's going to happen. It will happen. Life is not fair. Life isn't fair. You need to plan accordingly. You need to start planning accordingly. I'm promising you this. You need to plan accordingly. What's it going to take, guys? What is it going to take for you to be prepared? I'm asking you now, be prepared. Your time is coming. Each of our times is coming. Do we have any questions? I know I've gone just over 2 hours. Or no, I'm a little bit less than 2 hours now. Do we have any questions? Deb Reese says 9 out of 10 people, yes. 9 out of 10 people are going to die after an EMP. It's going to happen. Do we have any questions? Laura Marie said something that's important here in the chat. Preparation is a lifestyle and a mindset. You need to plan every day in some way. Write an emergency preparedness plan. Write an emergency preparedness plan. You need to get started immediately. You need to get started with that immediately. I've been talking about this for years. I've been preparing for this for years, literally for years. Sage Pub is asking, Ron, do you know of any more news from what Trump was in Europe and some of the people were saying it was going to be a false flag event? Yes, I do, but right now I'm not at liberty to talk about it, but I will. Thank you for that, Sage Pub. I will not forget that. In fact, I've got notes written down in my notebook right here. You and I can talk about that probably sometime next week. Jimmy Silt says, God bless from Trenton, Illinois. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Jimmy. Nonconformist is saying, when is this going to happen? I don't know. It could happen tonight. It could happen next week. It could happen next year. We don't know. But what I'm telling you right now, Russia and China don't give a hoot about any of us. Doesn't matter whether we live in the United States or Canada. Doesn't matter whether we live in England or Croatia. Doesn't matter whether we live in Japan or Australia. It's going to happen. Shirley is saying July 4th is predicted to be a hellraiser in some cases, some cities. Be safe. Stay home. I'm basically giving you the same advice. Because this No Kings 2 protest is going to be bad. I promise you it's going to be bad. The same people that were putting these protests together in the past weeks in Los Angeles and literally all around the United States, it's going to be worse. It's going to be much worse. George Soros, his son, there's three separate people. Three separate people that have been providing the money and the backbone for these protests. They mean business. They want to take over this country. That's why they've been putting this protest together. They want to take over. Iceman says he's been preparing so much that he's now collecting items to barter. I would too. Absolutely, collect items to barter. If you don't smoke, collect cigarettes you could barter with. You don't smoke, collect cigarettes or even alcohol you can barter with. Nonconformist said, once wasn't the Carrington event the last time something like this happened? Yes. But we've had power outages before. We've had power outages off-grid before it happened. And yes, it was a sun. It was a sun. But we've also had off-grid experiences where the government shut our power down. That was an experiment. That was an experiment so they could control us. Charlene says she suspects bullets will fly. Could be. The sound of fireworks. That's what happened in Los Angeles. That's what happened in Austin, Texas. That is what's happened in Chicago. That is what's happened in New York and various other places throughout this country. They set up fireworks and they've also been using weapons. Fact. Fact. Wendy B47's here. Thank you for being here. She's in England. She's in England. Demon Catman here is from England. We appreciate all of you guys. Doesn't matter whether you're in England or not, or wherever else you are in the world. We have people that watch this broadcast from New Zealand, from Australia, from Japan, South America, Central America, Canada, all over Europe, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Scandinavia. Even Finland as well. This is going to happen. I promise you it's going to happen. Now, I've talked a lot here. I've basically given you a breakdown of what's going to happen. And I'm very serious about it. I want you to prepare and start preparing now. Don't delay. You need to prepare now. As I do at the end of most of our programs now, 99% of our programs, I give you a spiritual thought. Because not everything we've talked about is spiritual. Not everything we talked about is necessarily palatable. I want something else to be palatable. I want to give you hope. I want to be able to give you comfort. I go to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I want to go right now to first chapter of Philippians. The epistle of Paul to the Philippians, first chapter. I want to go to verse 27. Only let your conversation as it becometh the gospel of Christ, that whether I come and see you or not, or else be absent, I may hear of your affairs, that ye stand fast in one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel. That's what we should be doing. We should be standing fast with one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel. In chapter 2, verse 1, in fact, verse 1 through 5, if there be therefore any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels and mercies, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind again. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem each other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also Christ Jesus. Let's remember that. Let's be humble. Let us be of one mind, one faith, one doctrine. Let us be mindful of each other. Let's be mindful of each other. Mary McHenry, thank you also for being here. She says, thank you so for being so thorough, Ron. Such valuable information. Love and appreciate you all. Yes. Avoid large crowds next weekend for sure. Absolutely. Yes, we are going to be talking about the July 4th weekend in the coming days. Now, I want to tell you this. We are here Monday through Friday for emergency preparedness actions. We talk about disasters. We talk about earthquakes. We talk about hurricanes. We talk about tornadoes. We talk about rainstorms. We talk about winter storms. We talk about rain and flooding. We talk about explosions, factory explosions. We talk about fires all the time. We talk about train derailments and explosions after that. By the way, the people who handled Palestine, Ohio, were against us. They were against us. They did not follow protocol. And they should be taken care of. Actions have opposite and equal reactions. They should be taken to the back of the barn, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we try to take Saturdays off. Yes, we do occasionally come in on Saturdays if there is an emergency or other disaster around. We talk about disasters and emergencies around the globe. If anything happens today or tonight, we'll talk about that as soon as the information becomes available. Yes, we try to take Saturdays off. Otherwise, we will be back here sometime tomorrow. If not, we will be back here Sunday afternoon, sometime around 12:30, talking about the gospel of Jesus Christ. I teach a Sunday school class every Sunday at 12:30, between 12:30 and 1 p.m., called Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. We would appreciate if you'd also be there with us for that Sunday school program. We have anywhere from 50 to 150 people that watch these programs from Sunday. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. I teach these Sunday school classes because I have a spiritual background. I've been a missionary for my church. I've also taught gospel lessons for most of my life. I'm very familiar with the scriptures, and that's why I've been asked to teach these lessons. I'm here for all of you. I'm here for all of you. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I care about you. Otherwise, I would not be here. Otherwise, I would not be here. Below this program, scrolling across the top of your screen right now, if you want to help support this program, you can do so by going to our PayPal or our Venmo locations and give us a donation, which we would greatly appreciate. Below that, we have our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. Reason, you can give us your criticisms, you can give us comments after our program. Also, below this program, after we get off the air, we'll have comments that you can put underneath this program today. Leave our comments. We'd appreciate hearing from you. We do. Also, guys, you can send us letters or cards to us as well. We want to know what you are doing to prepare for emergencies and disasters. We want to know that. We want to be able to help share information, but not giving you necessarily the source. We're going to protect you as well. But in your cards and letters, you can also slip a donation inside the card or letter. Make sure if you put it in your letter, in the envelope, make sure you wrapped a letter around it. That way it's not visible outside the envelope. If you stick the donation in your card, you can also send us to us at our address that's scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. Please do that. We'd love to hear from you. We would love donations to help keep this program on the air. We really would appreciate that. Guys, I'm thankful for each one of you. I'm thankful for each one of you. Charlene's saying this program is essential. I agree it is. That's why I keep doing it. That's exactly why I keep doing it. We love and appreciate you guys. Please help us. God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you another day here. If not tomorrow, Sunday at noon, between noon and 1 o'clock, or on Monday afternoon. God be with you until then. We'll see you on the next side.